Hey, y'all, welcome to the Building a Brand podcast series where we talk about a wide variety of different topics and how it relates to the business journey, current business news, as well as, just plain old business in general. I'm your host, Jeremy Patton, and without further ado, we'll dive right in. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Building a Brand podcast series. I'm your host, Jeremy Patton, and today's topic of today's episode is teach the next wave of entrepreneurs. Now, to jump in, we're going to talk about the question of the day, which will lead us to my first reason why you should teach the next wave of entrepreneurs. So the question of today is, do you remember a time when you started your entrepreneurial journey and you had to go through different difficulties in order to find your way, to find your path, to find your own success? Do you remember what that felt like? And would you, if you could, change anything about your own personal journey? You know, there are a lot of people that go into entrepreneurship and they end up spending their life savings, or they end up quitting too soon, or they end up starting too early before they're ready, or they end up entering into a deal that was probably not the best for them. So think about your own entrepreneurial journey, think about your own career path, and ask yourself, would you, if you could, make any adjustments or changes to make your journey a little bit easier or a little bit better, a little bit smoother for your transition into success? Right. And so my first reason behind why I want to talk about this topic today is because when you think of your own experience, at least for myself, when I think of my own experience, there are absolutely, I would change a lot of different things that I have done or that I had to go through, a lot of the different walls that I bumped my head against, or, the dead end journeys that I went down. Absolutely. So if I could help the next person behind me avoid some of that hardship or avoid some of the difficulties of even going through that learning curve of like trying to figure everything out on their own, or having to pay different fees here and there, or not fees, but different expenses here and there to learn or to get a little bit further along the journey. If I could help somebody, avoid those things, then absolutely, I definitely will. And that's what actually started this company, right? That's what started this whole path of me putting out content on YouTube or on social media. It was because my personal path was far too difficult, and the people around me that I was speaking to had no clue or no idea, and they found themselves stuck in different situations trying to figure out different things. And so I decided to gather the information that I found and put it out there, and I think that as a community of entrepreneurs, that we should look to do the same for the next wave of entrepreneurs, right? Our youth are coming up, and they are not going down the same career path that many of us have gone down, which is, either, go out and get a 9 to 5, work your way up through a company, try to get a, as try to advance as far as you can, or go to school, try to get a good job. The same thing, try to advance as far as you can through the company. The new wave of generations are no longer going through that pathway. They see that their parents, they see that the people that they look up to or their elders, they see that the people that went before them are swimming in debt, and they are living in houses that they can't afford, driving cars that they can't afford, living and working at jobs that they're miserable at, that they hate going to day in, day out. They hate going to work, they hate being at work. And it's not until they leave work, and even some people take work home with them, and it's like draining them, and it drags them down, their demeanor, their character, their personality, their happiness, all that. And it's just, seeing that has the youth like headed in the opposite direction. Like, I see where you're going. I see what you went through. I don't want to go through that. Right. So you have a lot of the youth that are trying to go into business for themselves, or that are contemplating going into business for themselves, that want to go into business for themselves. Why would you, especially if you have the experience of going into business for yourself, and you know the different hurdles, and you know the different, pathways that will lead to dead ends and stuff like that, if you know different things that could help out the next person, why not share that with them? Like, does it take anything away from what you accomplish by helping the next person get to their personal level of success a little bit easier than you had to? Like, I personally don't feel like it does. And especially when you look around, and like, there's a lot of people that have businesses, that have been operating businesses, a lot of people that say that they're successful, but they have friends that are business owners, or that have been in business for years, or that are still trying to figure it out. And instead of them saying, hey, let me help you, it's more so, well, I'm sitting on a beach. I figured it out, you figure it out. And I don't know, as a community, I think that, it could be better served if people reach back and helped out more, actively. You don't have to be a business coach, or, advisor. You don't have to get paid for it, to reach out and say, hey, I went through this process, and I could help you out. I could help give you knowledge that I gained along the way to help you out. And, while we're on the subject, I would just like to take a moment to reach out to the folks that did reach out to me, and just say, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your words of encouragement, wisdom. I appreciate, the gesture of you reaching out, because there are a handful of people that have reached out to me, and, I appreciate y'all. I wouldn't be here without you all. And I wouldn't know, some of the stuff that I know without you all. And, so anyways, that's that. Now, the next reason why I have is the gift of giving, right? Now, everybody's experienced this. You might have experienced it through, giving out candy on Halloween, or, giving a homeless person a meal, or some spare change, or a few dollars or something, so that they could find a meal or a place to sleep at night. Or maybe you help give somebody a hand with lifting something heavy that they, were struggling to lift, or, maybe somebody fell down and you help them, get back up. Or, whatever the case is, there is, there is energy, and there is, there is a reward from giving, Just like, when people start charities and they give to charities or they give to their church, even, at that reward and that feeling, that gift of giving is the same thing when it comes to teaching others and helping out others, right? You know, when I was working in manufacturing, like I loved showing people how to do what it was that I do, or what it was that, that was something that was more advanced than they were used to, experiencing or being able to do. Because not only does it help them possibly move up in that company, but it's also a skill or something that they could take with them no matter where they go. It's something that they could turn around and show and teach somebody else how to do. It's kind of like, I could give you a fish so you can eat for the day, or I could teach you how to fish and you're set for life, really. Because you could go to any pond, any lake, go out there. If you know what you're doing, if you know how to draw fish into your line, if you know how to be patient, if you know the good areas to go, you'll be able to go out and fish for yourself. The same thing with teaching people, and helping out the next wave of entrepreneurs. This company that you start, or as a 22-year-old, I'm just throwing that number out there, or whatever age you are starting your first business, that company may or may not work. Statistically, most companies fail, but what I will say is, if you have that extra help and support, if you have somebody that has experience with starting a company, building up the company, all that stuff, then, one, that particular 22-year-old, their first business has a better chance of succeeding. And if not, at least you gave them tools that they could take on to their next business venture. Is we all have, like, life is short, but it's also long, you know. So say if that 22-year-old, their business failed and then they got a 9 to 5, they wouldn't be able to retire for another 40 years. That's a long time to sit back and watch somebody fail at trying to start a business. When you could have, and I say this in a general sense because, again, any type of business owner, any type of, experience operating a business, or, people with corporate experience, even, you have business knowledge that you could help out somebody else, with. Personally, I know somebody with a lot of corporate experience, so I lean on them heavily when it's like, look, I'm looking to make this deal, or I'm looking to fulfill this contract, and the things that I was not exposed to in my personal career, I have been able to rely on other people to help me navigate through that journey until I got to the point where I was comfortable doing it on my own. And same thing goes for, you reaching back and helping out the next generation, because there might be a business process which they do not know that they're, doing wrong, or that they're not doing right, or that they don't even know about completely. So they're not, because they're not aware of it, they're not doing it at all. And as somebody with experience, you could reach back and help them out and help them, understand or have a better approach towards their business, in general, and help them avoid pitfalls that so many people had to no choice but to, run into. The next reason I have is to start a culture of paying it forward. If you haven't seen that movie or read the book, I suggest you either look up the book, buy it, read it, or look up the movie, watch it, and think about the concept of each one pay it forward, right? If I help out the person behind me, hopefully they will look around and help out either somebody that's around them or somebody that's behind them, and they'll pay it forward, right? And getting back into the culture and getting back into a society where we help out each other, getting back into a society where we are no longer in competition with each other, but where it's more so a friendly competition. Like, yeah, I see that you're doing X, Y, and Z, but instead of me, having some kind of negative connotation about it, what I'm going to do is actually, it's going to push me to be better. It's going to push me to improve on my products, my services, or, my brand and what I do. Right. And having that type of society where it is more so, a community-based society where it's, let me pay it forward and then that person pay it forward and so on and so forth. We'll get back to that realm of it being a competition, a positive competition as opposed to a negative competition where it's cutthroat, where it is, only one of us can make it and it's going to be me kind of thing. I think for far too long as a whole, we have been conditioned to think in that way. And so we approach life that way, right? We approach business that way. We approach our careers that way. Why would I teach the next person when they could take my job? At the end of the day, when you don't, you are actively deciding to leave that person behind. And, you do what you want, but this world is going to continue down the path that it's on unless we start, embracing a more communal, situation and circumstance and approach. So pay it forward and tell that person pay it forward. I have offered and I have actively, or I am actively being a mentor to people that are trying to do something similar to what I'm doing, or that are trying to start their business and get it off the ground. And the way I see it is I have I have an abundance of blessings, right? And if I could help out somebody and make their process easier, then they could essentially get to the level of success in which they want to get to and that they have expressed that they want to get to, and they could reach so many more people. So why not give out, some assistance for people that you see that will actually make a difference? And like I said, just pay it forward. Anyways, the next one I have is teach the next generation what you know. And so I want to beat a nail on the head, but just teach the next generation what you know, man. Like, really and truly, there's so many people that come up that I come across or that you see online that says, yeah, I'm trying to make a better world for my kids, or, I don't want my kids to go through this, or, all that stuff, right? But teach them and educate them on what you went through, and then give them options of doing something different, right? There are so many opportunities that have opened up to, to the world and society as a whole, and to communities in which opportunities have not been a part of or been available. And with media, with the internet, those opportunities, that information, all that stuff is out there now, right? So if whatever career field you want to do, whatever industry you want to start your business in, there's an avenue that's documented on how to do it. Research it, just Google it, you know, figure it out. You actively seek that information and, help out the youth along their journey, help them out with setting up business processes and procedures. And especially like if you worked all your life, those similar procedures and processes that go from your 9 to 5 go into your essentially anybody's company, right? So you have, your expenses, you have your profits, you have, your customer service aspect, you have your marketing, branding, you have, employees, you have documents that are required, you have HR. They think about the different things that HR handles, and bring all those things in, bring them together. Like I said, there's books, there's articles, there's videos, there's content, there's courses. There are people that are set up to help you set up your business and to educate you on how to create a business. There's different resources available. There's government resources. There's third-party resources. There's all types of resources available on the internet. And all you have to do is dedicate yourself to learning them. You'll be able to figure it out. And like I said, use that information to teach the next generation. Point them to the path of internet research. Tell them, ask your kids, or ask the youth, the next generation, what they want to do, what kind of career they want to have, what kind of impact on the world they want to have, what in the world they want to, what problem of the world that they want to solve, and give them or help them find the tools to making it a reality, right? So teach the next generation what you know. The last but not least on this list is enable somebody to go further. And this goes back to everything that we've talked about thus far. When you teach the next generation of entrepreneurs or the next wave of entrepreneurs what you know, you are taking away some of the barriers. You're taking away some of the different trials and tribulations, the different problems that they will have to face, and you're smoothing out their process. When you do that, they will get to a stage in which you possibly are at, or they will get to a stage that is more advanced without having all that baggage with them, without having to start over 1,000 times. And you could say, oh well, it's good for character, it's good for their growth, it's good for sure. I will say that there are different things that are unavoidable, just like you raise a kid, and you raise a kid to avoid the real life realities, but at the end of the day they're going to have to go out and face the real world at some point in time. It's the same thing though. You want to give them the most amount of tools, and you want to allow them or set them up for a situation where they are able to go further, and make better decisions and make less errors along their journey. So if we start reaching back and teaching the next wave of entrepreneurs, what we went through, the lessons that we learned while we're doing them, then hopefully, like I said, in time, it will make somebody's process easier. In time, it will allow people to get further. And especially if you are in a niche that is improving the world, or that is that is trying to make some form of positive change, or that is trying to impact the world in a positive way. If you help out the next wave of entrepreneurs, then they, like I said, they will go further than you, and that's what you want. Like, if you're not giving them tools to go further than you, then you're not making the world a better world for them as they come up, then you're failing them as a whole. Like, your generation is failing the next generation. So, me personally, I'm going to try to make the next wave of entrepreneurs, I'm going to try to make their process better. And I want to encourage other people to share their stories, to share their experience, share their knowledge, share, what they can to also help the next wave of entrepreneurs succeed. Looks like that's my time. I appreciate y'all for tuning in this week. Until next time, you guys take care. Have a good one, and deuces. All right, y'all. That'll conclude today's episode of the Building a Brand podcast series. Thank you for joining us today. As always, please comment your thoughts on today's episode below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button to get notifications on future episodes. And as always, have a wonderful, exciting, and informative day. You guys take care. And as always, deuces.